another GED math preparation video. In this video, we will be looking at 50 of the most important GED math questions and how to easily solve them. Let's dive right in. Question 1. We want to find 20% of 300. Percentage questions are one of the most common GED math questions. To solve it, we will use this process. We will put our is value here. We will put our of value here. We will put our percent value here, then 100 here. For this question, we have 20%. So we put 20 for our percent value. We have of 300. So the 300 is our of value. We will put it here. Now we have our is value left. So we can represent by x and solve for x. This is a one-step equation. Since the 300 is dividing, we will perform the opposite operation on both sides of the equation. We will multiply by 300. This 300 cancels out. We can cancel these two zeros with these zeros. Finally, we have 20 times 3. This will give us 60. So 60 is 20% of 300. This is basically how solving questions like this go. Let's move on to our second question. Question 2. 30% of what number is 15? You can pause and try this one out just to exercise your math skills. We use the same process. We have our is value, our of value, our percent value, and 100. Now we just replace the values. We can write the 30 here because it has the percentage sign. We have is 15, so we write 15 as our is value. Finally, we have of, but there's no number with it. We represent it by x and solve for x. Since the x is in the denominator, your first step will be to cross multiply. So we have x times 30. This will give us 30x. Then we have 15 times 100. I usually do not do the actual multiplication yet. Now we have a one-step equation. The 30 is multiplying, so we will divide both sides by 30. This will cancel out. We can cancel out these zeros. The 3 can divide the 15 5 times. Now we have 5 times 10. This will give us 50 as the final answer. For questions like these, you just have to know how to set it up. Then it is up to your basic multiplication and division to come to the final answer. If you think you need further breakdown, you can check out our Ultimate Algebra Suite that covers from pre-algebra to algebra 2. Link in the description. Let's move on to our next question. Question 3. In this question, you are asked to find z. The answer is 50 degrees. It should take you less than a second to solve this. Let's look at how we got it. You just use alternating dots or symbols or whatever to represent the angles. I'm using red and blue dots. All angles labeled red are the same. So here, since the 50 degrees is labeled red and the z is also labeled red, the angles are the same. Please, this is only used when you are working with parallel lines. This question doesn't ask you to find y, but let's look at how you'll go about it. To solve for y, all you need to remember is a blue dot, or however you represented it, plus a red dot adds up to 180. We know the red dot is 50, and also y is a blue dot. So we have 50 plus y equals 180. We solve for y. One-step equation. Since the 50 is adding, we will subtract 50 from both sides. These will cancel out. 180 minus 50 will be 130. Therefore, angle Y will be 130 degrees. All the angles with blue dots will be 130 degrees. Let's look at our next question. Question 4. If x equals -2 and y equals 1, find 3x squared plus 2y minus y squared. Here, you are just supposed to put the x and y values given into the expression. The trick here is testing your ability to find the exponent of negative numbers correctly. So we have 3 times -2 squared plus 2 times 1 minus 1 squared. I just replaced the x with -2 and the y with 1. Please note, I use parentheses for the -2. This is to make sure I square the negative also, not just the 2. If you have -2 squared, this is not the same as -2 squared. If you do not understand this statement, ask the question in the comments section and I'll explain it further. We have 3 times -2 squared, which is 4, plus 2 times 1, which is 2, minus 1 squared, which is 1. 3 times 4 is 12, plus 2 is 14. Then minus 1 is 13. So this is our final answer. Let's now look at the next question. Question 5. We are asked to find the angle x. To solve this, all you have to remember is that the angle on a straight line is 180 degrees. This is a straight line. That means if you add 50 to x, you will get 180. We can solve for x now. One-step equation. Since the 50 is adding, we will do the opposite operation on it. So we will subtract 50 from both sides. These will cancel out. 180 minus 50 is 130. Therefore, x is 130 degrees. Question 6. We want to find the angle B. Here again, we have angles on a straight line. So 75 plus B plus 60 must be equal to 180. We can add the 75 and 60 to get 135. We have B plus 135 equals 180. We have a one-step equation. Since the 135 is adding, we can subtract 135 from both sides. This will cancel out. 180 minus 135 is 45. So B is 45 degrees. For our next question, question number 7, we want to simplify x squared minus 5 squared divided by x minus 5. To simplify this, all you have to remember is the difference of two squares. When you have the square of a number, in this case x, minus the square of another number, in this case 5, then you can expand it as x minus 5 times x plus 5. So this is what we will have in the numerator. And x minus 5 is in the denominator. Now we can cancel the x minus 5 out. So we are left with x plus 5 as our final answer. For question 8, we are looking at a similar question. We have 4x squared minus 36 divided by 2x plus 6. Sometimes you have to do a little work to even identify that you have the difference of two squares. Here, the 4 can be written as 2 squared, and the 36 can be written as 6 squared. 2 squared x squared is the same as 2x squared. So now we can see that the difference of two squares. 2x squared minus 6 squared divided by 2x plus 6. Here again, we will expand the numerator using the ideal of the difference of two squares. 2x minus 6 times 2x plus 6 over 2x plus 6. Next, we see that we can cancel out the 2x plus 6. It will be left with 2x minus 6 as our final answer. Question 9 is a basic math question on the famous order of operations. We have 4 divided by 2 times 3 squared. From the order of operations, we have to do parentheses first, then exponents, then multiplication and division from left to right. Then finally addition and subtraction from left to right. Here, we do not have parentheses, so we will do the exponent first. 3 squared is the same as 3 times 3, which is 9. So we have 4 divided by 2 times 9. This is the point where some students get wrong. Multiplication and division are on the same level on the order of operations. So you will just work it out from left to right. So working from left to right, we will see that the division comes first. So we will divide 4 by 2 to get 2. Finally, we will multiply by the 9 to get 18. I'll include a link in the description for anyone who wants to know more about the order of operation and why the ideal of PEMDAS is wrong. Question 10. We are multiplying the polynomial 2x minus 3 by the polynomial 3x plus 3. You have to multiply each term in the second polynomial by the terms in the first polynomial. So the 2x will multiply the 3x. Then it will multiply the 3. Next, the negative 3 will multiply the 3x and then the 3. Please note that when you have a minus, you will use it as the sign of the number following it when multiplying. That's why we have negative 3. Now let's do the multiplication. 2x times 3x will give us 6x squared. 2x times 3 will give us 6x. Next, negative 3 times 3x will give us negative 9x. Negative 3 times 3 will give us negative 9. Next, we can add like terms. 6x minus 9x, this will give us negative 3x. So our final answer will be 6x squared minus 3x minus 9. Let's look at question 11. How much will Kelly pay for a dress at 25% discount if the original price of the dress is $200? Here, there are two ways to solve it. If 25% is taken off, then it means Kelly will only pay 75% for the dress. So we find 75% of 200. That's 75 over 100 times 200. You can cross out the zeros. So we have 75 times 2 which is $150. Kelly paid $150 for the dress. You could have also found the discount amount first. It was 25%. That's 25 over 100 times 200. The zeros will cancel out. 25 times 2 is 50. To find how much Kelly paid, you have to subtract the 50 from the original price. 200 minus 50 is 150. We get the same answer. I think the first method is better and straightforward. Question 12. Compare 2 over 3 and 5 over 4. Here, you are supposed to tell if it's less than, greater than, or equal to. This particular question is very easy to answer. The 2 over 3 is a proper fraction, and the 5 over 4 is an improper fraction. Improper fractions are always bigger than 1, and proper fractions are always less than 1. So 2 over 3 will be less than 5 over 4. But as a general way to solve this question, just in case it's not this easy, you will have to cross multiply. 2 times 4 is 8. 3 times 5 is 15. You will compare the 8 and 15. Since 8 is less than 15, it means 2 over 3 is less than 5 over 4. For question 13, we are supposed to arrange 1 over 2, 3 over 4, 1 over 5, and 1 over 4 in ascending order. The easiest way to compare multiple fractions is to convert them to their decimal form. These fractions here are common fractions that you have to memorize their fraction form. 1 over 2 is 0.5. 3 over 4 is 0.75. 1 over 5 is 0.2. 1 over 4 is 0.25. With these, we can arrange them. 0.2, which is 1 over 5, is smallest. Then 0.25, which is 1 over 4. Then 0.5, which is 1 over 2. Then finally, 0.75, which is 3 over 4. Question 14. We are supposed to find the slope and y-intercept of y equals 3x plus 5. This equation is written in the slope-intercept. This is y equals mx plus b. In this form, the slope, which is m here, is the coefficient of the x. In this case, it will be 3. The y-intercept will be the constant, which is b here, will be the 5. Slope is 3. Y-intercept is 5. For question 15, we are supposed to convert 0.25 to percent. To convert from decimal to percent, you will multiply by 100. Multiplying by 100 simply means the decimal point will move 2 places to the right. So we move the decimal to get 25%. Question 16. Convert 0.25 to fraction. The trick here is to put 1 under the decimal point and add zeros for every number. So here we put 0 for 2 and 5. The rest is just to reduce the fraction. We can divide the top and bottom by 25. 25 divided by 25 is 1. 100 divided by 25 is 4. So our final answer is 1/4. Let's move to the next question. Question 17. We are adding the fractions 2/3 and 1/5. We will be using the cross multiplication method here. We will first multiply the denominators. 3 times 5 is 15. Next, we will cross multiply. We will multiply the 2 and 5. This will give us 10. We will then multiply the 3 and 1 to get 3. We add the 10 plus 3 to get 13/15. You can check out our free fraction videos if you want to master fractions. Let's look at the next question. Question 18. For this question, we are supposed to find m. This question is pretty straightforward. M will be 50 degrees. The reason is this. If you have a triangle and a line parallel to one of the sides, then the angles of the original triangle and the angles of the new triangle are the same. Here, if we pull out this small triangle, we can say that the angles are 60, 50, and 70 degrees, just like the original triangle. This is what we call similar triangles. Question 19. Find the circumference of the circle. Here we have been given the radius. This is more of a formula work. The circumference of a circle is 2 pi r. The radius is 5, so we have 2 pi times 5. 2 times 5 is 10. So the circumference is 10 pi. Sometimes you will be allowed to leave your answer this way, with the pi. Pi is 3.142. So we can do 10 times 3.142. This will give us the circumference of 31.42. Question 20 is also a formula work. We are supposed to find the area of the triangle. The area of a triangle is the base times the perpendicular height divided by 2. The base here is 6, and the height is 4. Six divided by 2 is 3. So we have 3 times 4. The area is therefore 12. Question 21. We are writing the expression, John is 5 years older than twice Michael's age, mathematically. Again, we have a full video on expressions if you want to check it out. We can represent John with J and Michael with M. Is means equal to. 5 years older than will be 5 plus. Twice Michael's age will be 2 times M. So we have J equals 5 plus 2M. Question 22. Find the slope of a line that passes through the points 2, 4, and 6, 5. We will use the slope formula. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Please note that you can call any of the point 1 or 2. I'm choosing this as 1 and this as 2. So I'll have my x1, y1 here. Then I'll have my x2, y2 here. We just put the values into the formula. We have 5, which is y2 minus 4, which is y1, divided by 6, which is x2 minus 2, which is x1. So we subtract to get 1 over 4 as our slope. Question 23. We are asked to find x in the equation 2x squared plus 5 equals 13. We will first subtract 5 from both sides. This will cancel out. 13 minus 5 is 8. So we now have 2x squared equals 8. We will divide both sides by 2. The 2 will cancel out. 8 divided by 2 is 4. Now we have x squared equals 4. To solve for x, you will have to find the square root of both sides. Root of x squared is x. Root of 4 is plus or minus 2. The reason why we say it can be both negative 2 and 2 is that if you have negative 2 times negative 2, you will get 4. Again, if you have 2 times 2, you will have 4. Let's move on to the next question. Question 24. In a class of 50 students, 20 are boys. What percentage are girls? We will first find the number of girls by subtracting the number of boys, which is 20 from the total number of students. This will give us 30 girls. To find the percentage of girls, we will divide the 30 by the total and multiply it by 100. We can divide the 100 by the 50 to get 2. 30 times 2 is 60. Therefore, 60% are girls. Question 25. For this question, we are finding one interior angle of a regular pentagon. The formula for finding the interior angle of a regular polygon is 180 minus 360 over n, where n is the number of sides of the polygon. Here we have a pentagon. This has 5 sides. So we have 180 minus 360 over 5. 360 divided by 5 is 72. So we have 180 minus 72. This is 108 degrees. Question 26. For this question, we are supposed to find the volume of the figure. To find the volume, we will multiply the length by the width by the height. So we have 6 times 3 times 2. We multiply this to get 36 meters squared. Question 27. Find x and the inequality negative 5x minus 2 greater or equal to 28. Solving inequalities is just like solving equations. First, add 2 to both sides. This 2 will cancel out. 28 plus 2 is 30. Next, we divide both sides by -5. When you divide by a negative number, the inequality changes. Please take note of that. So this becomes less or equal to. The -5 can cancel out. 30 divided by -5 is -6. Therefore, x is less or equal to -6. Question 28. The difference of two numbers is 6. Their sum is 14. What are the two numbers? This is a very common word problem you should know how to solve. Since we do not know the two numbers, let us call the numbers x and y. The difference of the two numbers is 6. This means x minus y equals 6. The sum of the two numbers is 14. This means x plus y equals 14. Now we have two equations. We can use elimination method to solve it. We are just going to add the two equations. X plus x is 2x. Negative y plus y is 0. Then 6 plus 14 is 20. Now we can solve the one-step equation. Divide both sides by 2. The 2 will cancel out. 20 divided by 2 is 10. Now that we know x equals 10, we can use any of the two equations to solve for y. I'm using this equation. 10 plus y equals 14. Subtract 10 from both sides to get y equals 4. Question 29. We are finding the square root of 45. Here you cannot find the square root of 45. You can, however, identify that 45 is the same as 9 times 5. You can find the square root of the 9 to get 3. Since you cannot find the square root of the 3, your final answer will be 3 root 5. Question 30. How many pencil sets can you buy with $20 if the unit price is $2? To find how many pencil sets, you just need to divide the 20 by 2. 20 divided by 2 is 10. So you can buy 10 pencil sets. Questions of this nature are not always this straightforward. We will look at complex ones later. Question 31. This question is also straightforward. There are 5 red balls, 3 blue balls, and 4 yellow balls. What is the probability of picking a blue ball? The probability of picking a blue ball will be the number of blue balls divided by the total number of balls. The total number of balls is 5 plus 3 plus 4, which is 12. Since there are 3 blue balls, we have 3 over 12. Simplify it to get 1 over 4. Question 32. We are adding 2 whole number 3 over 5 plus 3 whole number 2 over 3. You can convert these to improper fractions and add them, but I think it will be a harder way to solve it. What I like to do first is add the whole number. So I have 2 plus 3 to get 5. Then I add the fractions. 3 over 5 plus 2 over 3. I will use the cross multiplication method. First, multiply the denominators. 5 times 3 to get 15. Then we cross multiply. We cross multiply 3 by 3 to get 9. We cross multiply 2 and 5 to get 10. We add the numerator. 9 plus 10 to get 19 over 15. We can change the improper fraction to a mixed number. 19 divided by 15. This will give us 1 remainder 4. We can add the 1 to the whole numbers. 5 plus 1 is 6. So our final answer is 6 whole number 4 over 15. Please check out our free video on fractions to master it. Question 33. 3 over 4 is proportional to x over 6. Find x. When you have a proportion question, you can just equate them and solve for the variable. So we have 3 over 4 equals x over 6. We can multiply both sides by 6. This will cancel out. 3 times 6 is 18. Now 18 divided by 4 is 4.5. So x is 4.5. Question 34. Change the slope-intercept form y equals 2x plus 9 to standard form. The standard form is ax plus by equals c, where a, b, and c are numbers. We can subtract 2x from both sides. This 2x cancels out. We have negative 2x plus y equals 9. This is in the standard form. The a will be negative 2. The b will be 1. And c will be 9. Question 35. A ladder is touching a vertical wall at 10 feet above the ground. The bottom of the ladder is 6 feet from the wall. What is the length of the ladder? For questions like this, it is very important to have a pictorial diagram. Here is the vertical wall. Here is the ladder touching the wall. We know that it touches at 10 feet. Next, we know that the bottom of the ladder is 6 feet from the wall. Since the wall is vertical, it will meet the floor at 90 degrees. To find the length of the ladder, we are going to use the Pythagorean theory. Let's call this side x. X squared equals 6 squared plus 10 squared. 6 squared is 36, and 10 squared is 100. 36 plus 100 is 136. To solve for x, we will find the square root of both sides. Root of x squared is x. Square root of 136 is 11.66. So the length of the ladder is 11.66 feet. Question 36. We want to find 3 squared plus negative 2 minus negative 3 plus 5. We apply the order of operations. The first thing we have to work on is the parentheses. We have negative 3 plus 5. This will give us 2. Now we have 3 squared plus negative 2 minus 2. In the order of operations, we will do the exponent next. 3 squared is 9. Finally, we can work on 9 minus 2 minus 2. This will give us 5. Question 37. If 10x plus 10y equals 70, what is x plus y? This kind of question is simple, but poses some problems to students. We will look at more difficult ones in part 2 of this video. Try it out yourself first. Here, what we have to do is divide each of the terms by 10. The 10s will cancel out. 70 divided by 10 is 7. So now we have x plus y equals 7. So 7 is the final answer. Question 38. A book is marked 10% off from $150. How much will you pay for it? Since the book is marked 10% off, it means you will only pay 90%. So we will find 90% of 150. The zeros will cancel out. 9 times 15 will give us 135. So you will pay $135 for the book. Question 39. John bought a car for $3,000 and sold it to a friend for $3,500. What percentage profit did he make? First, we have to find the profit by subtracting the cost price from the selling price. This is $3,500 minus $3,000. This will give us a profit of $500. To find the percentage profit, we have to divide the profit by the cost price and multiply it by 100. We have 500 divided by 3,000 times 100. These 3 zeros will cancel these zeros. Now, we divide the 50 by 3 to get 16.67% as our profit percent. Question 40. Write the point-slope equation of a line passing through the point 4, 7 and having a slope of negative 3. To solve this, you have to remember the point-slope formula. The point-slope formula is y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1, where m is the slope and x1, y1 is a point. So here, this will be our x1 and y1. And negative 3 is a slope. We will put this into the equation. We have y minus 7 equals negative 3 x minus 4. This will be the point-slope form. Question 41. The absolute value of 2x plus 3 equals 9. Find the values of x. To solve absolute value questions, you will have to equate the value 2x plus 3 to positive 9 and then to negative 9. We have a complete video on absolute values. We encourage you to watch it. We have 2x plus 3 equals 9. And we have 2x plus 3 equals negative 9. Let's solve this side first. Subtract 3 from both sides. The 3 will cancel out. 9 minus 3 is 6. Now we have 2x equals 6. To solve for x, we will divide both sides by 2. The 2 will cancel out. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Therefore, x equals 3. Next, we will solve this. We have 2x plus 3 equals negative 9. We subtract 3 from both sides. The 3 will cancel out. Negative 9 minus 3 is negative 12. Now we have 2x equals negative 12. We divide both sides by 2. The 2 will cancel out. Negative 12 divided by 2 is negative 6. So x equals negative 6. So our x values are negative 6 and 3. Question 42. For this question, we are finding negative 2a cubed b squared all squared. We will first square the coefficient negative 2. Negative 2 squared is 4. Next, we will multiply the exponent of each of the letters by the 2 here. So we have a exponent 3 times 2 and b exponent 2 times 2. So this will give us 4a exponent 6, b exponent 4. Question 43. We are dividing the polynomial 9x squared plus 12x by 3x. We have to divide each term in the polynomial by the 3x. We have 9x squared divided by 3x plus 12x divided by 3x. 9 divided by 3 is 3. X squared divided by x is x. 12 divided by 3 is 4. The x will cancel out. So we have 3x plus 4 as our final answer. Question 44. Factorize x squared minus 7x plus 6. To factorize this, you need to find two numbers that multiply to get the constant 6 and adds to get the coefficient of the x, which is negative 7. This sometimes requires some trial and error. These two numbers are negative 6 and negative 1. When you multiply negative 6 by negative 1, you will get 6. And when you add negative 6 to negative 1, you will get negative 7. Our answer is therefore x minus 1 times x minus 6. We just used the two numbers we got, the negative 1 and negative 6. Question 45. 7 more than 3 times a number is 40. Find the number. This question is testing your ability to translate word into mathematics. Let's first represent our unknown number with x. We have 7. More than means addition. 3 times a number is 3 times x. Is 40 means equal 40. Now, we solve for the x. Subtract 7 from both sides. This will give us 3x equals 33. Next, we will divide both sides by 3. The 3 will cancel out. 33 divided by 3 is 11. Therefore, the number is 11. Question 46. If A equals 7 and B equals 2 and C equals -1, find 4ABC squared. Questions like this are really your opportunity to speed up your time so that you can have more time for difficult questions. Here, all we are doing is replacing A, B, and C and multiplying. We have 4 times 7 times 2 times -1 squared. -1 squared is 1. We multiply this to get 56. Question 47. We want to simplify x squared minus 4 over x minus 2. We looked at a similar question earlier. Here, you should be able to identify that x squared minus 4 is the difference of 2 squares. 4 can be written as 2 squared. When you have the difference of 2 squares, you can write it as x minus 2 times x plus 2. This is the numerator. We divide it by x minus 2. The x minus 2 will cancel out. We now have x plus 2 as our final answer. Question 48. Solve for x in x minus 1 over 2 equals x plus 1 over 3. For questions like this, you want to remove the fraction by cross multiplying. We will have 3 times x minus 1 equals 2 times x plus 1. We distribute the 3. 3 times x is 3x, and 3 times -1 is -3. We distribute the 2 also. 2 times x is 2x, and 2 times 1 is 2. Next, we will group like terms. We will have 3x minus 2x equals 2 plus 3. 3x minus 2x is x. 3 plus 2 is 5. So we have our final answer to be x equals 5. Question 49. We are solving for x in 7 times x minus 1 minus 30 equals 4 times x minus 4. I'm going to rush through this process since both distribution and solving are things we've done multiple times in this video. We will distribute the 7 here to get 7x minus 7. We will distribute the 4 to get 4x minus 16. We can add -7 to -30 to get 7x minus 37 equals 4x minus 16. Next, we will group all the x terms. We have 7x minus 4x. Then, we will group the constants. Negative 16 plus 37. 7x minus 4x is 3x. Negative 16 plus 37 is 21. Finally, we will divide through by 3 to get x equals 7. Now, let's look at our final question in this section. Question 50. Mary can do a job in 5 days. Jan can do the same job in 20 days. How long will it take for them to do the job together? To find how many days they will use to complete the work together, you will just multiply 20 by 5 and then divide it by 20 plus 5. This will give us 100 over 25. 25 can divide 100 to get 4. So Mary and Jane will use 4 days to do the work together.